What's good, YouTube? Easy now 1337 aka Snow here today with another top 10. The gameplay in your background is from the Hovis Man. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet, but make sure you go over and check out his channel. Tell him I said thank you for the gameplay, subscribe to him and all that good stuff. Now if you don't know, I am a massive WWE fan. I have watched it since the Attitude Era and I still watch it to this day. There was only a couple of years when I stopped watching it when it first turned into the PG era, but then I sort of kind of got back into it. And I just love the theatricality of it, the entertainment side of it, and just the storylines that they come up with. I mean, I really love watching WWE, and it's a shame that I don't live in America because I would make it out to those events as much as I possibly can. I know it comes to the UK, but usually when it comes around the UK, I haven't got enough money to go. So anyway, my top 10 is totally my opinion. I know there's a lot of people who are going to disagree with my top 10. And all sorts, but I'm going to try and explain it as I go. I also intend to do a top 10 current WWE stars as well, probably next week sometime, but this is like of all time. So let's get into it. Drop a like and a favourite if you haven't already. In at number 10 we have Mr. WrestleMania, Mr. Monday Night, HBK, Shawn Michaels. Now, I prefer Shawn Michaels when he was in D-Generation X, for obvious reason. The way him and Triple H bounced off each other and the pranks and the hilarity that they always ensued when they were around, it was absolutely epic and it changed the face of the WWE. But Shawn Michaels, for me as a solo artist, I wasn't that attached to. I didn't find him that great. Like, obviously he's an absolute legend and his athleticism is probably unmatched along the years of wrestling. So for me, he is a badass and a legend, and if you think of wrestling, HBK is one of the first names you think of. But for me, he stays at number 10 because personally I just didn't attach to him like I have other people in this top 10. In at number 9 we have Y2J Chris Jericho. Now, Jericho, this for number 9 is the old Jericho, the long hair Jericho, the Jericho that came from WCW, the Jericho that was just an absolute fucking badass heel wrestler, as well as being able to portray a good wrestler when it came around. But the reason why Jericho gets into my number 9 spot is the fact that he is just timeless. He never ages and he always produces great wrestling matches. Even to this day, he can make anyone look good while looking good himself on top of that, and that's a rare, unique thing for a wrestler. There's only a couple of people who can pull it off in this day and age, in this wrestling now, in this PG era, like someone like Dolph Ziggler, who always looks athletic, always looks good, and he can sell things so well for other people, and Jericho is the older version of that. But Jericho is just a legend. He's the history of the WWE and definitely deserves to be in anyone's top 10, but he's at number 9 for me. In at number 8 we have Mankind, or Mick Foley, aka Dude Love, aka Cactus Jack. Mick Foley is a legend in the business, the hardcore legend to be specific. The things he done, what he put his body on the line to do, and his characters were so epic. The only reason why he comes in at number 8 for me is that Mankind used to scare the shit out of me when I was little, and he's been involved in so much stuff throughout the years and is just one of the greatest, one of the greats, and definitely worth getting into anyone's top 10. But like HBK, I didn't really attach to him as much as other people in this list, so he gets my number 8 spot. In at number 7 we have The Rock. If you smell The Rock for me falls down this top 10 list because of the recent iterations of The Rock, the movie star Rock who comes back to wrestling once a year. I think it's ruined his character and ruined his legacy, because The Rock is one of the most important people in the history of the WWE during the Attitude Era with the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin. They built this company into what it is, and they will forever be the name spoken across pretty much all generations. Like, all generations know who The Rock is, they know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is, and they epitomised what the Attitude Era was. So The Rock definitely gets into the top 10, but for me he falls down a little bit for the fact that he's now the movie star Rock that comes back every year. In at number 6 we have the Ultimate Warrior, and Ultimate Warrior would probably be number 1 on DPJ's top 10 list of this same topic, but for me he comes in at number 6 just solely for the fact that even though he was absolutely badass, and everybody loved the Ultimate Warrior and how crazy his mic work was and how crazy he portrayed himself to be. I think a lot of people believed he actually was fucking nuts, and he probably was for a short amount of time, but he is just absolutely phenomenal. He looks the part and everything, and his music was just so intense. But for me, the reason why he falls down a little bit is because of his inconsistency and the fact that he would go away for a year and then come back and he wouldn't be as good in the WWE. But he is an absolute legend, so he definitely gets higher than The Rock, Mankind, Jericho and HBK. In at number 5, and this top 5 could literally, all of these people could be at number 1 for me personally, but I have put them this way on purpose. Number 5 would be Triple H. Now Triple H, across the board, across his entire career, has just been phenomenal. If you watch the documentary on Triple H and his legendary career, he is the sole reason why WWE is still around today. WCW started to overtake in ratings, and Triple H formed the idea of D-Generation X, and Vince McMahon and everybody in the creative side of WWE didn't want to know. They didn't think it would work or anything, so they went ahead and done it anyway, and it saved the WWE. The whole attacking WCW and bringing them together, it was all down to Triple H's idea. And he's just an absolute legend, and now he's going to be running the business in the future. Once Vince McMahon retires, it will fall to Triple H. So there's no one better, or no one I would trust more to run the WWE than Triple H, because he knows it. He's wrestled his entire career there. He knows what's good for business. He knows how to catch heat, as well as he's just badass across the board. And he could easily be in anyone's number 1 spot. For me, though, he gets into number 5. In at number 4, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin. Absolute badass, the way he looked, his attitude, the rattlesnake, he was just always on edge, ready to just pounce on someone and beat the crap out of him. His whole look of his bald head and his knee brace just suited his character down to the ground. And whenever you watched him, or whenever he came, when his music hit and everyone got hyped, you knew he was just coming there to wreck face, to beat the ass of anyone in his way. And that's why I love Stone Cold Steve Austin so damn much. And recently, when I've been listening to like his radio station / podcast, he just speaks the truth about the WWE and exactly what he thinks, and you can just see that as a genuine person as well as an absolute legend in wrestling. So definitely gets into my top 5, and he falls at number 4. In at number 3, we have The Undertaker, the one, the only, the most unique character in wrestling history, and probably the most legendary, and easily could be everybody's number 1, and was going to be my number 1 if it wasn't for my personal opinion about number 2 and number 1. Undertaker is an absolute legend, been there since practically the start, been at every WrestleMania. He's just the most famous wrestler ever. If you say WWE, you say Undertaker. It's as simple as that. He's just an absolute legend. Now he's coming back and defending his streak every year, and he's getting to the point where he's going to retire. And you could just tell that he's the sort of person who's like the godfather of the locker room. All the younger wrestlers turn to him, and he will just give people honest opinions and honest advice. And I really do believe that he will lose his streak to someone that he believes is an upcoming wrestler, someone like Daniel Bryan or something. I could see him sacrificing his streak and his pride and his ego just to help out other people. And that's why he is such a legend and deserves my number 3 spot. In at number 2, we have CM Punk. Now, CM Punk for me is kind of reminds me of myself a little bit. He's got that arrogant, egotistical sort of character, and he can play a heel and a face really well. I mean, he's the only heel in recent history that I can remember that gets cheered more than the faces of the company, because everyone knows how badass and how great he is for business. And it's a shame at the moment he has quit the WWE, supposedly. We don't know if it's kayfabe or not, but he has left the WWE, and it's a shame because he needs to be headlining every single main event, because he is just fucking badass. And in at number 1, and remember this is my opinion, it is the one, the only Edge. Now, Edge for me, across the generations, has just been badass. Everything he's done has been top draw. Like, when he came in with Gangrel and the Brood, he played the part well, he was scary, and he was just hyper and intense. When he was with Christian and all the comedy sides of him, it was like D-Generation X, but without the crudeness of D-Generation X, to say. And then he moved on to being with like Randy Orton, and his legendary solo career as well. And obviously, when you think of him, you just think of the TLC matches. And for me, it's the spear off the top of the 18-foot ladder. I mean, he's the sort of wrestler who would go out and put his body on the line every single day, even if it's just a friendly 1v1 exhibition match on a house pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, on a house event. He would just go there and give 110% all the time and put his body on the line. And unfortunately, it caught up on him, and he had to leave the WWE due to spinal injuries. And if you've ever watched him saying goodbye to the WWE and leaving the WWE, that speech that he gives in front of that crowd, you can tell that it's truly heartbreaking for him, that he's truly devastated to not be able to wrestle anymore. And I don't think there's anyone in this current generation that would be that genuinely upset. I think if Cena was crippled forever, it wouldn't be an upsetting moment for him. He would go out being, you know, the good guy, the soldier, the getting everyone hyped and saying carry on being great fans and stuff. But you could just see in Edge that he was distraught and devastated, and that's why I love him so much. And he's just so intense and such a great wrestler. So that's my top 10. Let me know what you guys think about my top 10. Tell me your top 10. Who would you include and who would you take out of mine? All that good stuff. Drop a like, a favourite. Peace out. Take care.